What it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder checking back in with another edition of History That We All Should Know. This time this week, I think the subject should be spoken on Black inventors who revolutionized everything in our world and life that we still live in today. I'm not going to touch on the ones that most of us know about, the traffic light and etc. What I want to do is just go into other gems that are uncut that most of us do not know were created by Black Americans on the other side of the history spectrum. The first one I would like to talk about is Thomas L Jennings. Thomas L Jennings was the first to create dry cleaning based in 1820. This gentleman was a part of the Freedmen's Bureau of Slaves that moved to New York City. During his time of post-emancipation, he created what we know as dry cleaning service. How we work, how we operate, getting your clothes cleaned and pressed. Mr. Jennings was the first one to do so. The reason why he was such a predominant figure, he revolutionized cleaning, how we clean our clothes, and a self-cleaning aspect in American society today. I know most are viewed as Asian or foreign-based businesses, but we must remember that was created by a Black man in America. The dry cleaning business, the reason why Mr. Jennings was so predominant, he used his wealth to free most of his siblings, and he donated to heavy abolitionist movements to help other Blacks in the South pursue their freedom. Another good one. Number 2, Mary Van Brown. Mrs. Brown was the one who created the modern day security system. Whenever you think of the rain, ADP, any service space, making sure your home is secure, Miss Brown invented that. Miss Brown was so innovative because she felt she lived in a high crime area. We know about the history of redlining. She was actually a nurse, a full-time nurse. This queen was so innovative in her studies and how she did things. She actually made it so she can have a monitor to view who was at the door before she came. And she also implemented a voice monitor system. She also had a trigger alarm to monitor the police. So think of all the systems we use right now. This sister was doing it back when she created around the 20th century. It says roughly around 1960s. She did this and invented this on her own. Before then, when women were at home by themselves, there was no such thing as a protective system before Mrs. Brown invented it. The number 3 event I want to get into was Mr. Alexander Miles. Mr. Miles has changed the world so much and we use it so often we don't even know. The automatic opening door closing. Think about anytime you walk into a hospital, an elevator, a business. Anytime you see those automatic doors open up and close themselves, we must thank Mr. Miles for that innovation. We might not think about it so much, but think of how many times you see automatic doors anytime you go anywhere. Who would have ever known that a former freed slave created that concept and patented that idea? Mr. Miles created this and revolutionized how we enter places because he saw a lot of times that the traffic would be slower. In his mind, he completely revolutionized that idea and that concept. Number 4, I want to go down to something more modern. Dr. Patricia Baff. I never knew that the laser surgery to help you see better, to remove glasses, was actually invented by Mrs. Baff. She actually started this surgery back in 1986, laser eye treatment. Who knew that? That was something that truly blew my mind, how new and modern the surgery was, or how she invented this concept, created the machine to do it, and is virtually risk-free. You can have laser eye surgery to this day and it's a nothing surgery. But Dr. Baff was the one who created and founded this concept in a real way that we still use to this day. Number 5, Elijah Mccoy. He was very much one of the greatest inventors of the 20th and 21st century. Mr. Mccoy had so many inventions that he actually had a patent name around that time that says, I want that real Mr. McCoy. I want that real item of his, not that knockoff version that we may sell. I want the real McCoy item. One of his most predominant things that I noticed that he created was the lawn sprinkler. Think about how many houses in suburban areas actually use this. Colleges, universities. He actually invented that concept of having water come out the ground and sprinkle and keep the grass nice and clean. He also modernized the idea of the ironing board. The reason why this was such an innovative thing, we had the dry cleaning business, and Mr. Mccoy began to get a vision on how to crease and have a neat and clean look. Mr. McCoy knew that we needed something to have that process be faster and quicker. Along with the numerous amount of inventions that Mr. McCoy invented, he was known as a truly innovator in his time that is shameful that he is not discussed or known more. Number 6, Miss Alice H. Parker. Miss Alice H. Parker must be complimented heavy because back in December of 1919 in Morristown, New Jersey, she actually figured out a way to use natural gas to keep homes warm and toasty in the wintertime. Wait a minute. She was involved for keeping houses warm, and she is not morally broadcast in this day and time? Miss Parker allowed us to have central air and central heating inside the homes. She did this because around this time, you would literally just have a furnace and fire built. She figured out a way to make her family live in a much more feasible economically and allow her to use the naturalized resources of this time. Truly remarkable figure along with all the other ones. Miss Parker must be known as someone who changed the game completely. Last but certainly not least is Frederick McKinley Jones. We must thank Mr. Jones for inventing the long-haul truck refrigeration systems. But in the 1940s, Mr. Jones revolutionized the grocery industry, other stores, and other goods that need cool temperatures to remain cold around this time. Mr. Jones allowed us, our transportation industry, for trucks to transport goods and refrigerations. Think about all the times we go somewhere that we're at the grocery stores that we don't even notice how items get to A to B. We must really thank Mr. Jones for his innovative idea and concept because he literally revolutionized how we eat, how we store material. And one other nugget that Mr. Jones did that is highly underrated, if it was not for him and his concept, back in the late 1940s, we would not be allowed to have blood being transfused during the World War II era times. So not only did he help Americans as far as consumerism, food, and products, Mr. Jones helped with donating blood and revolutionizing the whole world by having cooling system inside the trucks. These are some black figures I think that most people do not know about and have no recollection of history about, these awesome inventors. But I definitely think it's a little nugget to open your mind on the people who revolutionized the way we live to this day that do not get the credit they deserve. All we can do is shed light on these and learn and more history as we go. But I really think it's important that we shed light to these individuals and who they are and the brilliant amount of success they did to our society. This is your boy, King Crowder, checking back out again with another edition of History That We Should Know. Please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. I'm still growing and still learning to get my process down. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.